Yeah, hi everyone. We're back again with another insightful session for all of you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all those who've joined us from across the world. I am Manish Krishnan, Head of Marketing here at QKS Group, and I'm pleased to welcome you all to today's session, the BFSI AI Transformation Roadmap, scaling AI within the guardrails of governance and compliance. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Over the past few weeks, through our AI Transformation webinar series, we've discussed how organization can move from AI experimentation to enterprise scale adoption by building the right operating models and governance frameworks. Well, today we are bringing the conversation into BFSI sector, where AI adoption must balance innovation with security, compliance, and regulatory expectations. In this session, we'll explore how financial institutions can access AI readiness, prioritize high value use cases, establish effective governance, and scale AI responsibly while managing risk and delivering measurable business outcomes. Well, I'm delighted to introduce you to the speakers today. Divya, Vice President and Principal Advisor here at QKS Group. We have Anand, Practice Director and Principal Advisor for Financial Crime and Compliance here at QKS Group. Well, together they will share practical insights, industry trends, and real-world guidance to help BFSI organization accelerate AI transformation with confidence. We encourage all of you to raise any queries that you may have throughout the session. It is something we have a surprise for you towards the end of the session, so do stay tuned. And with that, let's get started and over to you, Divya.
Thank you so much, Anish. And hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. So, Anish, thank you for setting the background so wonderfully. But before we deep dive into the slides, I just want to take this little moment about telling our, attendees about why we have built this session, because I think that matters a little bit more than the agenda. Over the past few years, almost every conversations that I've had with a banker, an insurer, or a payments company, every conversation was touching somewhat artificial intelligence. The leadership walks in with real ambition. So what they say is that I want AI embedded across underwriting, across fraud, across customer service, and across compliance functions. Boards are also asking for it. Budgets are being approved for it. And on paper, most organizations do tell you that they are doing AI. But when we sit in a room with people, who are actually responsible for delivering it, what we hear is a very different story. What we hear mostly is, dozens of pilots running in parallel. There is no shared learning between them. We hear that nobody can quite agree on who owns the risk decision when the model fails. We hear, each and every moment a use case is ready to go live, it hits the wall of governance and compliance. So what we clearly see is that there is a gap. There is a wide gap that exists. And the gap is about what the expectation is, that AI transformation is basically everybody believes that that is a technology rollout. But in reality, what we see when we talk more and more with these, about these use cases and these situations is that AI transformation is more of a coordination, accountability, and trust problem, just wearing a technology hat. So this gap is why, we as advisors have spent the better part of the last several years, not just researching about AI transformations in BFSI from outside, but actually executing it. So sitting inside steering committees, building the compliance, governance and compliance playbooks, watching firsthand where programs stall and why. So we are here today to not give you some theoretical framework, but we want to leave you with a pattern that we have seen, and the pattern is repeating itself institution after institution. And what we want to leave you with is possibly give you a structured way to get past it. So over the next 1 hour, Anand and I are going to be talking about, what we are actually seeing in the market right now, why we see transformations are stalling, in very predictable ways, and the framework we use with clients to move past that. Moving ahead, a quick overview of the agenda. So here we will be covering what is the current state of AI in BFSI sector, why we see the AI transformations are stalling. So a couple of common blockers. Then the regulatory landscape, which is very important, specifically with the BFSI context. So we will touch upon that. We will present the QKS Enterprise Transformation Framework, which will be kind of a structured guide to lead you from pilot to enterprise scale execution of AI transformation. We will also present what backs all our transformation engagements, which is the Spark Intelligence, and a little bit about governance and compliance, because that is kind of the pretext for today. So, is it an enabler? Is it a deterrent? So what it is, how do we see it? And then a couple of next steps for you. So to take you through the state of AI in BFSI, I would pass on to my colleague Anand.
Thank you, Divya. And also thank you, Vanish, for the quick introduction. Divya, as what rightly said, all the conversations have led only to AI, and that's where we are here too. And AI has been one of the most important topic these days. So to everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you over here. It's been a pleasure to meet you guys again on an at your thing. So wonderful topic today that we have got. AI transformation, scaling AI within the guardrails of governance. This is a topic which is very close to me, and because it's got both governance and compliance. So I would really love to be love to really speak a lot about it, on what's upcoming and how do we really go about with this. 20 plus years inside the bank has taught me one thing in this sector. The industry moves fast, but it never moves faster than the regulator's defensive. That's never been truer than it's right now with AI, where safeguarding the consumer has become the defining question of this era. And that's exactly where I want to start with. Here's the question I hear in almost every advisory conversation we run at the QKS group. We have proven AI works, so why can't we get it past 2 or 3 use cases? The question is why this session exists. The next 1 hour, we will take you from market reality through the 4 reasons for transformation stalls, into a maturity framework, a phased roadmap like what Divya was mentioning, and what regulators globally are citing. So you leave with a plan, not just a diagnosis. Now, if I have to talk to you more, I want to open this complete this sentence that should frame everything you hear in the next 15 minutes from me. It's going to be something like this. If you look at it, AI ambition in BFSI is not the problem anymore. AI governance is the problem going forward. Every regulator has spoken about it. If you look at it, 70% plus of you have already proven AI works. Fraud detection, AML, customer engagement, it's live today. The race is over. The race that matters now is the one fewer than 20% of the institutions have won. Taking AI beyond 2 or 3 use cases and running it enterprise-wide is what is important. That's more than 50% spread between institutions that have piloted and institutions that have scaled. The single most expensive gap in BFSI right now, and when institutions tell us in their own words what's stopping them, it isn't the cost, it isn't even the talent, it isn't even the data, it's governance and regulatory uncertainty. Institutions are naming their own blocker for you. The only question is whether you are listening to it. Here is why I want you to take that seriously today. 2 of the world's largest regulatory regimes moved decisively in at least last 12 months. The EU set a hard deadline, August 2nd, 2026, which is less than a month, for a high-risk AI in credit and underwriting. The US Federal Reserve retired SR 11.7, the model risk rulebook banks have been running for over a decade, and replaced it with SR 26.2 this April. Specifically, this brings generative and agentic AI into scope. That is not background noise. That is your operating environment for the next 18 months. So the question I want you to carry through this session isn't should we govern AI? It's will governance be the thing that gets us to scale, or the thing that stops us 6 months short of it? With that, we'll move on to the next one, wherein we have got a quick poll for everybody. Where is your organization in its AI journey? We would like to hear from all of you on this. Is it on exploring and piloting, building the data for and tech foundation, establishing governance and controls, scaling into production? Take 5 to 10 seconds and give us the answer. Yes, and I could really see what it's coming up to. I could see people answering to the questions. That's really good. I will tell you what I expect to see. And I have been right more often than not. Most of you have clustered it in the first 2 stages, which is exploring and piloting and building the data and tech foundation. A much smaller group into establishing governance and controls. And that's exactly the pattern I want to name it out today aloud. Because it's not a coincidence. It's the reason for the 50-point scale gap I just showed you that exists. The institutions that treat governance as stage 3, something to build after the pilot proves it out, or the ones that stall. The ones that treat it as an infrastructure from day one, or the ones that scale. Hold the answer in your mind. What I'm going to talk and walk you through is why that stall happens. And you will recognize your own organization in one, at least, one of the 4 quarters that I'm going to speak the next. Let's move on, Manish. 4 points over here, and that stands as convictions. Each should land as the leadership thoughts that we have got. 4 blockers, I'll give you all 4, and I want to be direct over here. Not one of them is a technology problem. If your 2026 budget is solving for technology, you're solving for the wrong constraints. Let me tell you over here. 1, fragmented initiatives. Every business unit runs its pilot, own pilot, its own risk sign-off, its own vendor weightings. That's not innovation speed. That's the same risk underwritten for 4 separate times, if you look at it, with no institutional learning carried between them. Everybody is working on silos. That's not what we intend to do or what we wanted to do. 2, unclear governance ownership. That one stops the most transformations cold, Ask any leadership team who owns AI risk here. You will get 3 different answers from the same room. Risk points it out at technology. Technology points it out at business. Remember, nobody is lying. But accountability spread across everyone is accountability held by no one. And regulators have stopped that answer. The UK's SM&CR regime now extends personal accountability to AI-driven outcomes. That's not a committee anymore. That's a named individual whose name is on the decision. They need individual names to be put across. On the third part, which is on regulatory uncertainty, I'll give you the honest version. Yes, examiners are still writing a playbook. I have seen it in my past experience. 20 plus years with different banks, I have seen it. But uncertain doesn't mean undefined. Explainability, human oversight, accountability, that direction has moved in 2 years. Institutions that wait for perfect clarity aren't being cautious. They are being late. A late arrives with the compliance deadline, which is already attached to it. Like the EU's August 2nd, 2026 cutoff, which has come late, but it is almost there. It is not late. For data readiness gaps, the best governance framework in the world can't rescue a model fed inconsistent data from 3 different systems. This is the one that undermines the other 3 silently. Before governance even gets a seat at the table, data is very, very important, and data takes a lead over all the other things. Let me tell you something over here. Since none of these 4 is solved by better technology, don't budget for more tools. Over here, budget for the structure, ownership, coordination, and data discipline. That's a design, not a procurement decision. We need to look at it, and we need to look at what is now need of the hour. And that is where we need to really progress ahead. Moving ahead, which is going to be, because we have got the stalls, we need to move ahead in understanding the regulatory landscape that we are at present at. Let me be precise about what's actually happening, because the regulators are watching AI. Which is not at all useful to you. Here is what they have actually done. In my years in and advising BFSI, I have watched the same pattern play out again and again. Almost every major shift in the BFSI segment, in the process or technology in this industry, starts with the regulator, not at the boardroom. Basel 2 and 3 didn't just change capital requirements, they rebuilt risk technology stacks industry-wide. PSD2 didn't ask for open banking, it mandated the APIs that created it. AML and KYC obligations digitized onboarding long before any bank called it a digital transformation initiative. AI is following exactly the same script. The institutions that treat the regulator's signal as the design brief, not the obstacle, or the ones who move first. The ones waiting for a safe moment to act are historically always waiting for a permission that never arrives on its own timeline. Let me take you through a few of them. United States, in April, the Federal Reserve issued SR 26-2, replacing a model risk framework that had stood since 2011. It names generative and agentic AI directly. The CFPB has been on record since 2022 that model complexity is never an excuse for failing to give a customer a specific reason for a declined loan. The algorithm designed has never been an acceptable answer, and it still isn't going to be accepted. In the European Union too, if you look at it, starting August 2nd, 2026, that's the date high-risk AI credit scoring, underwriting, AML must be fully compliant under the AI Act. Non-compliance carries penalties calculated on global turnover, not just on the EU revenue, not on the European Union revenue. The deadline is closer than most transformation roadmaps currently account for. United Kingdom, if you look at it, the SM and CR already extended to AI-driven outcomes. A senior manager is personally accountable when the model gets it wrong. They have already called it for. APAC and Singapore, if you look at MAS, FEAT principles, which is the FEAT principles, which is commonly called across, fairness, ethics, accountability, transparency. And that same language is now echoing in emerging guidance from India and Hong Kong SFC2. If you look at it, 4 regions, 4 legal mechanisms, but one identical requirement underneath all of them: explainability, human oversight, and named accountability. That governance is the most important thing on this. It means you're not building 4 compliance programs. You're building one governance architecture and configuring it by jurisdiction. My advisory point to all the people over here: don't wait for full clarity. The deadlines are already fixed for most of them, and the enforcement posture only tightens from here on. The institution that win the next 18 months are the ones who treat explainability and accountability as the foundation they build on, not the paperwork they filed after the fact that it has happened. With this, I would like to give it over to Divya to give on the next.
Well, thank you so much, Anand. And I think this is a perfect place to hand back, because whatever you have, everything, in fact, what you have said about why these AI transformations are stalling is exactly what has led us to build our enterprise transformation framework. Now, just to give our listeners a brief background, a few months ago, I was on a call with a chief AI officer of a large private bank, and everything looked to be in order. There was a well-resourced team. They had the board level sponsorship, so everything kind of that you would want, you had in place. I asked a very simple question to this gentleman: is walk me through your roadmap. And he paused and said that honestly, we went straight from a whiteboard idea to a vendor pilot. We never actually diagnosed where we were. Well, this is not a rare story. That's what is happening at most institutions that we see. And we understand that AI transformation in itself is such a big and humongous task, but it is even more so tricky for the BFSI industry because you are in such a regulated industry. That's why the governance compliance becomes even more important when you are planning for your AI transformation. And you cannot think of having an AI transformation, either starting that journey or elevating that journey, taking yourself to a next level in that AI transformation without having governance and compliance built into your plan. So let me just give you a brief about what the ETF, as we like to call the Enterprise Transformation Framework, has. We have built this, in discussion with, over the past multiple years through our conversation with enterprises about what are their challenges while scaling, while starting an AI journey, while scaling, moving to, a different use cases. So what are the challenges that they face? And most, the probability of the challenge that comes highest is they think it's a technology problem, right? They have to fix something on the technology side. But that, while that appears to be the general consensus, that we believe is not the right way to look at it. Therefore, this framework is designed So what you see on your left side is like three phases. We have divided the framework into three different phases. The first one is illuminate, then is design, and then is ignite. Now, a brief idea about what happens when you go through these phases and the structured framework is that in the illuminate phase, which is the first phase, what you get is you diagnose yourself, you diagnose your organization on the current level of AI maturity. It's very important. What we see is not just starting AI with some whims and fancies. It's very important that you also understand where your peers are. You also have a baseline for you when you want to start something big. So this is what it gives you. It gives you a correct assessment of your AI posture. Then it also kind of equips you with a transformation charter, which is a board ready presentation, which you can take it with confidence and start your AI transformation journey. So that happens in the first phase, which is the illuminate phase. The next phase, which is the design phase, is where you get your transformation blueprint, you get your governance playbooks, because that is where we believe is very important to have the right tools and have governance built at the right time. So this is the design phase where we equip you with both of this. The third phase, which is the final phase, which is the ignite phase, is where you have the execution playbook, where you have transformation scorecard. So we also want your transformation to be measurable and not just starting something which you do not keep a tab of. So that is very important. So having the right matrices in place, KPIs in place of how you're going to measure the AI transformation that you have started. So that is pretty much what the last leg is. Now, as you can see, this whole process is powered by our Spark Intelligence, which I'll also kind of deep dive a little bit in the later slides. At the bottom, what you can see is the foundation layer. Now, these are the 7 capability pillars. So what are these essentially? Now, as I already said, and Anand has also mentioned that, everybody's trying to see it from a technology angle. And what they're trying to do is, kind of set the right things in place, have the best model for me. What is the best model for me? What I can use, just start and, see transformational effect in my organization. So everyone, me and Anand are, talking with banks and insurers and fintechs. So what we see is that everyone is working on this piece very strongly. So tech and infrastructure is a piece that everyone has their eyes on. Apart from that, we also meet teams that are working on the data foundation strategy. So those two are mostly the ones that is getting talked about more and more, getting board attention, getting attention from your CIOs, getting attention from the transformation officers. But then there are other pieces, and if these pieces are not set up correctly, not advised, guided, and taken into consideration, we feel that those are the pilots, AI pilots, that kind of don't see the day of the light. So these pieces are, first is, it has to start with your strategy and leadership. So where am I on my strategy and leadership? Do I have the buying in? Do I have the right roadmap for my AI? Then definitely there is a data piece. So, more about the matrices, more about how is my data and how I'm going to use it. So all those things in place. Tech and infrastructure, definitely you have to take care of. Process and workflow, very important. When we're talking about AI transformation, cannot happen with you just looking at from a technology perspective, but also from a business value perspective. So process and workflow, very important, plugged in at the right time. People and culture, we see as one of the big pieces that has to be fit in correctly if you want to make sure that your AI transformation is kind of getting the enterprise scale that you wanted to have. Governance, very important piece, and specifically so for the BFSI industry, has to be built in as one of the top capability pillars on your AI transformation roadmap. And last but not the least is the value realization. So what is the value that you are getting out of this whole transformation journey? So all of these 7 capability pillars are kind of form a foundation layer for our framework. And while this framework looks be having a lot of pieces, but that is, we believe, closely integrated together, so that every piece is helping you move ahead with confidence in your AI journey. And Spark Intelligence, as I said, I'll be deep diving in the later slides. So moving ahead is a quick snapshot. So this is kind of a quick snapshot of all the 6 stages, how it will look. Now, just to give you an idea, the first 2 phases, the diagnose and the align phase. And this is where I said you will get your baseline readiness, how ready is your organization in terms of your capabilities, in terms of all the 7 capability pillars. Also, this will also guide you on the use cases. Mostly when, me and Anand are going into conversations, we see this, that a lot of these chief transformation and digital officers saying that they have, dozens of use cases already in place, and they have, their AI strategy sorted because they are trying from every angle. They have, kind of tried and tested on all of these use cases. But unfortunately, as Anand also presented, very few of these use cases move into pilot, very few as 2 to 3. So there's a big gap, right? Now, what we believe is it is very important for organizations to know and understand, have you chosen the right use cases? Just because the use case looks fancy doesn't mean it will deliver. So it is very important to prioritize the use cases when you are on this journey. And that is where the diagnose phase does for you. Also, it gives you, the align phase gives you the transformation charter. So we believe this is a very key and important stage of the transformation. But unfortunately, we see that a lot of organizations kind of rush the stage. They see that, oh, this is, kind of simple. They rush the stage, but very important for having, or seeing the success of your AI transformation. The next 2 stages was the architect and govern. Now, this is where, previous slide. So next 2 stages were the architect and govern. So this is where, your blueprint and your governance playbook gets built together. Now, not sequentially. So that's why we are trying to build governance right into the architecture phase and not bolting on as a separate add-on layer. So there was, I remember a particular instance where I was talking to this transformation officer, and almost word to word, what I heard was, we have built, architecture first and brought governance when the regulator asked a question and we couldn't answer. So this is a common failure pattern that we see happening, that governance we see is always bolted on later, after kind of the architecture, the AI transformation architecture is finalized. So we are trying to take care of that. The last stage, which is the execute and scale stage, is where you get your execution playbook, you get your transformation scorecard. And this is the stage which we see most institutions actually want to start with. So they are very excited about this stage. But in our experience, without, the first 4 stages done properly, most pilots quietly die. So very important to have the whole stages stitched together. And my honest take on this is that this isn't just a linear checklist that you have to complete once. It's kind of a loop where every institution we have advised and scaled, have treated the final stage as a feedback loop for the first one, so that they can have a stronger and better success with the next use case. So this is a bit on the ETF framework. Quick one, next slide, which talks about the Spark intelligence. And this is what I said I'll also cover in the later slide, which was in the ETF frameworks. Now, what is powering all this transformation advisory now? Our transformation advisory is backed by insights that we have accumulated from our years of research, from our 10 plus years of research, of working with vendors, of working with end users. Now, just to give you some perspective, we cover about 250 AI and data technologies. We track them continuously on vendors, on product intelligence. So that is how much coverage we have on technology. The second one is these insights that we give through our transformation charter and the ETF framework is backed by real user signals. So we have about over 5,000 user adoption data points. Now, what these tell us is, what is actually working in production, and just not what looks good on pitch decks. So these real user insights are very important for your AI transformation journey. So we have amalgamated all these insights into our transformation framework. Then the fourth pillar or the fourth piece which is powering our transformation insight is the benchmark corpus. So this is again, like I said, a very important piece where you get diagnosed against your peers. So we have over 350 enterprise programs profiled. And this is across industries, across geographies, and for different stages. So that is why the insights that you get is not just some random world benchmarks, right? So this is happening in the world, which might not be very relevant for you. So what we give you the benchmark is at an industry level, is at a region level, which is very, kind of something which is of importance to you, what your peers are doing. So these kind of insights are available through the ETF platform. And lastly, the fourth pillar where we have, we are amalgamating all these insights is through our research and advisory expertise. Now, we have former CAIOs, former CDOs, former CISOs who have actually sat at your side of the table, and they advise you because they know what the real problem is. They have experienced it. So they advise you with the correct strategies, the correct way to take ahead, yourself in your journey of AI transformation. So that is what we believe is very special about our ETF framework. So this is the QK Spark Intelligence, and this is what powers the enterprise transformation framework. Moving ahead. So coming back to the governance and compliance piece, because that was the starting point. And I know Anand beautifully explained why this is very important and, what are the challenges specifically that the BFSI sector is facing. And if you remember, I said in the starting that I will try to dissect how do we see governance and compliance. So do we see as a scaling enabler, or do we see as a deterrent? Now, so the pattern, what we mostly see, and I think you might have also felt it, from the title of the webinar and also through our speech, is that governance shows up late. Now, most of the time it shows up as a gate at the end of the pilot. So right when the business wants to scale, it feels like a brake is being slammed on. Once an AI officer described it to me that every time we are ready to go live, the compliance finds something. So that is, and mostly, organizations see that as a compliance problem. But truly, it is a sequencing problem. Why? And I'll explain you because, we work with banks, insurers, fintechs across the globe. And whenever we get into this compliance discussions on AI, these are the 5 areas in which we find institutions making mistake, institutions faltering on governance. So that's why we wanted to list out these top 5 areas that you should take care of, so that you are sure that your governance compliance is, set. It's not a problem. I'll also try to tell you that how for each of these we have tried to take care of these issues and integrate it with our enterprise transformation framework. Now, if you see, the first one on this slide is about model risk management. So the mistake that we see most institutions making is that they don't actually bring AI and Gen AI into model risk governance, because firstly, it doesn't look like a traditional model. Also, it's a vendor co-pilot. So, kind of nobody signs off on that. Now, what we suggest is, you should widen your model risk perimeter. So anything that, AI, Gen AI that touches a customer, you have to validate it. You have to get your validation techniques right. So this is very important. And that is why to address this through our ETF, we have tried to account for it in our governed stage and governance pillar. So that's the first one, how we are trying to incorporate one of the very common risk issues on governance. The second one that we see, where most institutions kind of make a mistake is on explainability and auditability. So what generally teams do is that whenever they get a working model, they get very excited on the accuracy numbers, and they only think about explainability when a regulator or a customer actually asks them. Now, that is not correct. So in our suggestion, every high impact recommendation should be traceable to its inputs and its reasoning from day one. You cannot just say that the model said so. So that's not a good enough answer. So that is why we have tried to incorporate this in our framework and build governance, explainability, everything into the architect stage. So explainability is a design requirement and it should not be an afterthought. This we have taken care in the ETF. Another issue that we find very common is third-party and vendor AI risks. So what we see mostly institutions saying is that, oh, because the AI is embedded on my vendor's platform, it is their responsibility, not mine. Again, incorrect. What we suggest is that bring every vendor AI capability into the same governance review as you would do for internally. So before going live, and this should not happen later. Now, this is getting addressed through a governed stage and the process pillar. Human in the loop controls, very important, but very often missed out. So what we see is that, nobody is comfortable in taking responsibility. What happens when the model fails? Those are some of the tough questions. And the way we have thought of taking care of this is through defining very clearly the RASI matrix in our ETF framework and making people responsible, including people and culture as an important capability pillar in our framework. The last one, which is on data privacy and lineage, and again, some of the common things that come to us as challenge is, you can definitely tell that which data your model is using. But a lot of times the organizations don't have the track of where is the data coming from or how it is transformed or should it have been used at all. So these are some of the important issues, and that's why the data pillar is very important and sits at the very core of our capability pillar. Now, these are some of the reason for telling you this is that these are some of the key issues that we come across during our transformation advisory engagements. And we wanted to communicate this, that governance is not a standalone problem. It has to be, the issue that comes with governance is that people always try to bolt on governance later. they do not see as governance being kind of integrated early in the stage. So this is the struggle that I've seen people have who are trying to bolt on later. And what we see from our experience is that bolting on later always has more cost. It takes longer than doing it right the first time. So that's on governance and compliance. The next slide will kind of quickly, kind of highlight. So this is a very important question that we get asked quite often. Is there are multiple frameworks and advisories on AI transformation. So why is this different? Why should we go with the enterprise transformation framework that QKS has? Now, that's correct. There are a lot of organizations who are, trying to tackle this problem. But what I see is that there are two types of way people are handling it. One is on a strategy level. So there are organizations who are taking it as a strategic problem, and there are organizations who are treating it like an implementation problem. But where we sit is there is no other organization who is providing advisory on execution, real execution. So this is where it is different. Now there are four kind of pieces to it, which I would like to highlight is why this framework is different. The first one that we have and offer is a peer intelligence benchmark. So this is very unique, knowing where you are standing as opposed to your peer, and not just comparing yourself with some world averages, but actually comparing your AI maturity, readiness, and transformation priorities against your real peers, your industry peers. So this is what the framework is offering you. There is a vendor neutrality intelligence. So because of our Spark matrix, we are able to provide analyst grade decisions about who should you look out for your technology partner, who should you look out for your implementation partner. So all these decisions are powered by our vendor neutral intelligence. The third one is a region-based benchmark. Now, APAC is just an example, but what I want to tell here is that we are benchmarking against your regional peers. So if you are a bank in APAC, you will have your own challenges because of the regulatory changes, because of the operational realities being different from other regions. So that is what we try to bring into our transformation framework, is where we provide region-based benchmarking and not against the globe. And the last one is built for execution. So what we offer is playbooks and analyst access at every stage. So this is more like a guided transformation journey where we're not just giving you a roadmap and leaving you to execute everything yourself. We are there as an advisor throughout the time you are able to achieve measurable results out of your AI transformation. So that is something we have. And like Anish said, we have something exciting for you. And I will pass on to Anand to kind of spill the beans. Over to you.
Thank you, Divya. And that was a wonderful explanation. Divya, just to let you know, what we have in our ETF framework, be it the model framework, be it the AI explainability, or be it on the human in the loop, that most of the companies, AI companies that have come back to us and we have advised them, that is all what the regulators are now looking for. And that is what the regulators have also asked for it these days. Like India RBI regulation is asking for all of these. The MAS is asking for all of these. The US NASH is asking for all of these. The PDR2 is also asking for all of these. So which means to say we at this point of time, this is not just a requirement that you need to have, but it's something that the regulators have asked for it, and you should have it now. Having said all of that, I think everything we have shared today is just isn't an opinion. It's a pattern. It's a recognition built over a decade of benchmarking enterprise AI and data programs. 350 plus enterprises, 18 plus countries, 100 plus benchmarks delivered into actual boardrooms. That corpus is what calibrates every number I have given you today, and it's what calibrates the next thing I want to do. We have built a structured diagnostic and AI maturity assessment across the 7 capability pillars we have walked through, which we have walked you through the day, measured against the enterprise benchmark, not against a generic industry average. It's led by a CIO, delivered as one of our executive workshops also. And what comes out of it is a benchmarking snapshot against your actual peers and a diagnostic readout you can take directly to your board. I'm telling you, this is something that we would really love to offer. We really offer to you people. You take the assessment, we are there, we will guide you step by step, and we can take you to your board with all the deliverables that you need, that you can take it to them and you can show it to them where you lag or where you're really outperforming. Outperformers are also very good. We would want you to really outperform. So you would need to really self-analyze yourself. So do a self-assessment of your company. And from there, we take you further. Here is what that matters all to you. Most institutions never get an honest, externally calibrated read on where they actually stand versus where they assume they actually stand. This closes that gap. I'm telling you, this closes that gap completely, and it's complementary that we are offering to you because the benchmark data behind it is already built. But I would encourage you to treat it the way your clients do, as a diagnostic and not as a formality. Please do it diagnostically and you will find the answers. We are there to help you out. You can always get back to us, and we should be able to take you through the next steps in really taking you to the board and putting your budget towards the governance and the need to really have a good governance and an AI perfect transformation towards that. That's it more from my side.
Well, to all our viewers, if you're traveling right now, feel free to take a screenshot of this. And I've also dropped in the link in our chat. So feel free to have a look into it. And like both of them clearly mentioned, this is a complimentary access to all of you who has attended us today. And with that, as we conclude today's session, I would like to thank all of you for joining us. I'm sure this has created some light in your AI transformation processes that you've been doing in your current enterprise. Well, today's conversation highlighted the successful AI transformation in BFSI sector, not just about adopting new technologies, about establishing the right governance, managing risk, ensuring regulatory compliance, and building a structured roadmap that delivers measurable business value. A special thanks to Divya and Anant for sharing your valuable insights and practical guidance on how banking, insurance, and payment organizations can scale AI responsibly and with confidence. And to all attendees, thank you for your time and thank you for engaging and raising your queries. Do have a look into that link which has been shared in your chat. I'm sure that is going to create a value for you. And as a part of our transformation webinar series, we invite all of you for the next week session on unifying OT and IT data, the foundation for AI transformation in manufacturing. Well, we'll be covering more industries in the upcoming sessions. Well, the session next week will explore how manufacturers can bring together operational and enterprise data to create the foundation of scalable AI initiatives. If you haven't registered yet, we encourage you to have a look into it and continue, and we will help you continue your AI transformation journey with us. Do stay updated with the latest research, insights, and our upcoming webinars. And do follow QKS Group on LinkedIn at qksgroup.com at our website. And we look forward to have you join us in our future session as well. And once again, thank you and have a very great evening.